this is really common, and there's won't go into much detail, but I put a practice mock exam, an old one, on there. Anesthesia, she went through the anesthesia and the modifier videos that Lorraine offers, and the HCPCS book has some anesthesia modifiers, AA, QS, and so on. And I had suggested, or Lorraine maybe had suggested, but I tell my students to do that. Take those modifiers from the HCPCS book because you don't use it very much, and they're in alphabetical order, not lumped together under anesthesia, but go and write those 5 modifiers into your CPT manual, where because you've got some blank areas, and just make a note on them so you're saving time and not going back and forth. But she was wanting to know some more information about those. So these are HCPCS anesthesia codes or modifiers. AA is saying anesthesia services performed personally by the anesthesiologist. So when you're dealing with anesthesia, you've got an anesthesiologist, so he's an MD, or or a doctor, or I guess it could be a DO. And then you have a CRNA, which is a certified registered nurse anesthetist. And so they are not a doctor, but think of them as like a PA, a physician's assistant, or a nurse practitioner. They're qualified to work procedures and stuff. They are not a nurse. They're I would say they are a specialty, but not a nurse. They only do anesthesia, nothing else. Okay, so a QK. This applies to the anesthesiologist again. He's medically directing 2, 3, or 4 concurrent anesthesia procedures involving qualified individuals, meaning a CRNA. Okay, so that means he's there at the facility, and there's several procedures going on. CRNAs are doing them, but he's there as kind of like I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of, but he's directing. He's making sure everything's going smoothly. Now, then you have a QX. That's for a CRNA service with medical direction by a physician. Now, there are some procedures that it's required that the CRNA has to have the anesthesiologist, in the building. He doesn't necessarily have to be right there with him while he's doing the procedure, but he has to be right there on call in the building, and then there's procedures that the CRNA can do on their own. That, for example, it's if you're pregnant and you're about to deliver, it's probably going to be a CRNA that's going to come in and do your episiotomy if you choose to get one. So, the anesthesiologist doesn't have to be in the room, but he has to be in the hospital available if the CRNA has a problem. So, but if it's something that is just monitoring or something, he doesn't have to have the direction of the physician. The anesthesiologist doesn't have to be in the building. Okay, then QZ, CRNA service without medical direction by a physician. And I think probably maybe wound care clinics or maybe even pain centers probably deal with that a little bit. Okay, this is an example of a mock exam question. This is from like 2010, 2012, 11 practice exam. And real quick, I'm not going to really read it because it'll be on the replay club, but when you see this, what they're wanting you to know is, can you distinguish one? If you notice, all of the CPT codes are just about the same except for one. Okay, so you can probably just throw that one out. We aren't going to look at that one. I mean, that's a heads up that, that's probably not a good one. So we need to confirm, the 00220 is right, and it probably is. So let's not even look at that. What you need to know is which of those middle modifiers, the Q, K, QX, and everything, is the proper one to use. Now, the P modifiers, that has to do with the condition of the patient. So if the patient's relatively healthy, it's a P1. If they've got some conditions, they're a P2. But anyway, that's in your manuals, and you can look that up also. And but when you're coding for this, you have to code 2 separate things. You have to know, is the anesthesiologist there? Is he supervising more than one? You have to code for him. Then secondly, you have to code for the CRNA if he's involved. So QK you've got QK first on all of those, so you know QK is dealing with the anesthesiologist, and you have QX. Okay, so look on your test question real quick and say, you want to ask yourself, who's doing the procedure? I see CRNA right there on the top, so I know he's involved. And what does it say about the anesthesiologist? You just need to pull out what it says. It's a shunt revision report, both the anesthesiologist service and the CRNA service. Okay, da 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 da. Is there more above that? No, I guess not. Anyway, okay, scroll down and look at the rationales. And
Oh, I didn't
okay,
know there was more. Okay.
yeah, I put the correct answer is, and the reason is A, because it goes into detail to tell you why the 00220 is the correct CPT code, but it says the CRNA under an anesthesiologist medically directing 3 concurrent cases. So that's in that test question. The code is reported once for each provider. The anesthesia modifier QK, medical direction of 2 to 4 concurrent cases indicates that the anesthesiologist was directing blah, blah, blah. And then QX was the CRNA with medical direction. Okay, then it tells you why the other ones are not the correct answer, but you can catch that on the replay for those. Just know that when you're doing those modifiers for an anesthesia, and these will be in your anesthesia section, and I think you get, what, 8 anesthesia questions on the CPC exam, and this is a classic example of that. Now, the one I remember, mine had none of these. But that was some time ago. But I've had other people mention that yes, there was, those modifiers were involved. So just be aware of them. Take them from your HCPCS manual, write them in on your CPT so you can do quick reference, because like I said, they're in alphabetical order, so they're not right next to each other, and you want to save every amount of time you can when taking the exam.
Great. Thank you.
Get more CPC exam tips, coding certification training, and CEU credits. Go to www.codingcertification.org.